Welcome to another episode of Avian Home Adventures, presented by Carolina Raptor Center. Today's episode focuses on Carolina Raptor Center's greatest conspiracy. Now, when you guys think of conspiracy, what do you think of? Usually something mysterious, maybe something a little dark. Well, in our case, it's not that at all. At Carolina Raptor Center, conspiracy simply means a group of a specific kind of bird. Now, this kind of bird happens to be one of my favorite types of birds because they are very, very intelligent. They are not technically a raptor. They don't have that strong beak. They don't have those strong and powerful talons. But again, these guys are super intelligent. They are pretty common around the U.S. And these guys tend to be pretty loud. So we're going to let some more people join in before I reveal who our conspiracy is made out of. Now, groups of birds have different names depending on the species. So for this specific bird, they're considered a conspiracy when there's a group of them. For owls, it's a parliament. A group of owls is called a parliament. For road runners, they're called a marathon. So a marathon of road runners. We also have something called a kettle of hawks. So when hawks are soaring high in the sky, a group of them is sometimes called a kettle. For crows, it's called a murder of crows, which is a little creepy, but it kind of makes sense. All right, so we are going to meet someone who is part of our conspiracy. Does anybody have any guesses as to what group of birds is called a conspiracy before we reveal the big secret? No guesses to a conspiracy. Remember, it's not a raptor. These guys are very, very intelligent. A group of birds that's called a conspiracy belongs to the ravens. Let him relax a little bit here. So this is Kylo. Kylo is one of our common ravens. He's a little bit camera shy, so we just have to get used to the camera being in here. And we'll see if he settles down a little bit. These guys have the average intelligence of a 7-year-old human. So really, really smart. And they use that for a lot of different reasons. So sometimes they need to use their intelligence in order to find their food. These guys do something called caching, and so they cache their food or hide it away and save it for later. These guys can remember over 100 different caching spots. So they need to have a really intelligent brain in order to remember where they hid all of their things. These guys are also really good problem solvers. So these guys have been seen doing something called water displacement. So you can train a raven to figure out how to get food out of a tube of water. They simply add rocks, and they figure that out all by themselves. In the wild, they use different tools in order to get their food. So let's see if he's interested. I just placed some yummy mealworms on there, so we'll see if that's tempting at all for him to come and grab a little bit of a snack. These guys are omnivores, so that means that they like to eat just about anything. At the Raptor Center, he gets fed some type of meat every day, whether that's chick, whether that's mouse. Sometimes he gets a hunk of quail, maybe a little bit of beef heart. And then we give him vegetables a couple times a week to make sure he gets the plants. And as special treats, we will give him mealworms. We'll give him blueberries. Walnuts tend to be a favorite of his. And then every once in a while, he'll get some fish as well. Again, these guys are not picky out in the wild. So we like to give them a wide variety of a diet here as well. Let's see if a bigger pile is a little bit more tempting for him to stay put. Checking things out. Again, a little bit unsure of the camera. These guys have had a month off, right? We haven't had any visitors. And so he's a little bit camera shy right now, not quite used to that yet again. So I'm going to place his food on a perch for him to eat, and then we can watch from the outside. So today, not only does he get the mealworms and the blueberries, but he also gets a quail wing for a fun treat. He likes to pluck all the feathers off of that wing and then eat the little bits and pieces of the meat that are in there. So again, that's more for enrichment rather than his diet, but he does tend to enjoy those. Today, he also gets chicken. Oh, see, he's a little bit more interested now that we're introducing the food. See if he's interested in some chicken. These are day-old chick, and they have amazing vitamins in them still because they still have the yolk sac. So it's really good for these guys to get day-old chick. He also has an egg. One of his favorite foods happens to be eggs, so we'll see if we can entice him enough to show us how he handles the eggs. He has gotten really good at grabbing the egg gently and then carrying it around in his beak until he finds a nice level spot, and he will peck at the beak or peck using his beak at the egg really gently, so it's a nice little bowl so it doesn't get all over the ground. So it's a perfect little bowl to eat his egg yolk out of. Nope, not enticing enough. All right, so we'll give him his whole diet, then give him his space. He also is getting lots of vegetables today. And then that white powdery stuff is calcium. So he gets a little bit of extra calcium, which is good for his bones. So we're going to give him the rest here, and then we'll give him his space, and we'll watch him eat from the outside. His favorite vegetable is the corn. He tends to avoid his greens a little bit. He likes to eat the corn first, kind of like most kids, right? Most 7-year-olds. Ravens and crows like the sweeter things compared to the green things. But we want to make sure that he gets everything offered to him to make sure he's nice and healthy. So, look at that well-balanced diet. He's got some carrots, some peas, green beans, eggs, chicken. Underneath all of this are his yummy treats like the blueberries and the superworms. He absolutely loves blueberries and superworms. So we put those on the bottom to act kind of like a dessert. So he gets all the yummy things once he eats everything on top first. Or he may just fling everything on the ground and go after the stuff he'd rather eat, which, again, 7-year-olds, not really surprising. So we're going to give him his space, and we're going to go back around to the front so we can watch him eat his lunch today. We have a double door system just for an extra safety precaution. So we have an inner room in all of the different enclosures. All right, go to the front. With Kylo, when it's just me and him working together, he is a little bit more outgoing, and we can play catch. He can catch things really well. I can have a terrible toss and he'll still manage to catch the yummy treats in his beak. So we will see if he decides to come check out his yummy meal. So again, a group of these guys is called a conspiracy, hence the title of the video. This is a common raven. His name is Kylo. And we'll see if Kylo's interested in eating lunch today. Of course, our birds have the choice to do whatever they kind of want. So if he chooses not to eat his meal right now, as soon as I leave, he's probably going to dive down and start eating his different food. You guys might notice he's a little bit messy, like a 7-year-old as well. He's got kind of a messy enclosure with all of his enrichment that we gave him. He's got his toys all over the place. So again, these guys have the average intelligence of a 7-year-old human, and sometimes they resemble 7-year-old humans with their food. So Kylo is about 5 years old, and he came to us as a young bird. He wasn't able to be released, and so we decided to see if he would make a good candidate to be an education ambassador. And he does a great job at entertaining guests. He does tend to hide his food, and guests can watch him hide his food. He also is really good at mimicking. He can make a lot of different really cool sounds. None of them are on cue, so unfortunately I can't get him to do his calls. It is just when he wants to do them. So these guys are considered corvids. Most pie across the way. He's also very intelligent. These guys are a lot of fun to watch as well. Very busy birds. They always have to be doing something. So these guys, again, get a lot of enrichment to make sure that he is kept busy. And then we also have the crows. And the crows are some of the most common types of corvids that we may have. These guys are a lot of fun to watch too. They like to live in groups, and they keep each other company, but other corvids would rather be alone, and that's just fine. He's a little bit shy today. That's okay. Maybe he'll approach it from a different angle. Even if these guys are doing something that I necessarily don't want them to do, they are still fun to watch, and I get to know their personalities and their behaviors this way. So next time I go in and work with Kylo, maybe I leave my phone behind and don't include that in the training session. Training is learning as much about the bird as it is myself. I need to learn what I need to do to set these birds up for success. Right now he's behind the stump, just walking around, figuring out where he wants to go. The crows are all watching too. Checking things out. All right, so I'm going to end this session of Avian Home Adventures. Thank you guys so much for joining in with us. We really appreciate all of your support that you guys give us throughout this interesting time that we're living in. The birds appreciate your support as well. If you're interested in helping us out, there's a couple different ways you can do that. Feel free to press that donate button and help us out that way. Feel free to make enrichment. Go to our website. We have a different selection of enrichment items that you can make at your very own home and then bring to us once we open again. And so those are a couple different ways you can help us out. We always appreciate the love and support. And we will see you guys again soon.